Do you get the feeling that I mean, I'm really outspoken on this, Nick knows. I think he came apparently with a new broom and I don't think he's done that at all. In fact, the Tory party now, so Scarlett will verify this, is less popular than at the worst moments of Liz Truss. He's patently failed. To me, he's completely out of his depth. He's not a victim of circumstance and hasn't really changed anything. And they find themselves in this real quandary. Earlier in the week, is Penny Mordaunt the answer? Why would anybody want this for 6 months? I suspect the people who are interested are going, you can take the rap, mate. You wanted the job and you ain't done too good a job.
Yeah, completely. I mean, Rishi Sunak has not seen any real significant movement in the polls. There was a slight uptick when he took over.
Was there?
There was, ever so slight.
There were signs that it might be narrowing. His ratings were better than the party's, that's for sure. But I think only very slight, and then it quite quickly went back again.
I mean, there's been no real bounce that you get in football. You get a bounce from a new manager. There hasn't been.
Well, where they are now,
I think that's because they associate. And Scarlett, you can tell me. The rank and file Tory people that voted for Boris Johnson, I suspect, will think two things. One, you put the dagger between your shoulder blades by walking out. This is what I think. And actually, two, you haven't... to me, the Conservative government today is not a Conservative government anyway. And I think a lot of rank and file would agree with that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is absolutely the case. And actually, I think the problem is that no one's particularly happy with this government. And actually, we asked just last week Conservative voters who voted for them in 2019, who they wanted, who they'd be their ideal Prime Minister. The names that appeared largest were Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Margaret Thatcher even, which is obviously not going to happen now. And but we asked Labour voters the same question. Actually, the biggest name there was Keir Starmer. So that just shows that, Rishi Sunak is really, really struggling to win over even just the base of his support, whereas Keir Starmer's actually doing a lot better on that front, even if the public aren't sold on him as a whole.
Well, speaking of Keir Starmer, he's done an exclusive interview with Grazia magazine. This is following Rishi Sunak's quite cringe video with Grazia.
It was a very, very honestly, let's be honest.
It was a very cringe video with his wife.
The video with his wife. Listen, I get into trouble all the time. I'm going to give I thought it looked like he was sat there with his mummy who was telling him off.
It
Honestly,
did. It
naughty boy, you make your bed.
Exactly. Well, Keir has done an interview with Grazia. Well, I suppose they have to give both sides of the political spectrum. I don't know if you've read it, but do you think...
Well, I've seen his comments about the dishwasher, because this was one of the big lines that came out of Rishi Sunak. And to be honest, I'm with Rishi Sunak on the dishwasher. I'm possessive when it comes to the dishwasher. I think it needs to be stacked in a certain way. I don't think it's sexist if you say to your other half, look, I'm sorry, I'm in charge of the dishwasher. If you are the designated person in the household who sorts the dishwasher, you should be left to your own devices, because there's a system. There's a way.
Designated person?
Do you not know how to stack a dishwasher, Jeremy?
I've got a wife, man. What are you talking about?
Wow, Scarlett, I'm going to move on before
Here's the thing, this is very interesting. Vic and I have one argument when it's about the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Do you put, this is advice not political,
Okay.
do you put cutlery up or down?
Down.
Thank God. Put it there.
What?
Oh, no. Vic's got to put it up. Vic's got to wash the plates off before you put them in the dishwasher. You've started a big thing now.
I was just about to say I didn't know voters cared so much about dishwashers, but apparently I was wrong.
Yeah.
Scarlett, how does Keir poll with women? Obviously, they've both done this interview with Grazia magazine to try and appeal to, I guess, my demographic. Is it necessary that they do that? Do we find women sort of in their mid-30s, I guess the demographic for Grazia, feeling either way towards Starmer or Sunak?
I mean, the Conservatives are especially struggling with female voters. That's actually been a slight trend for a while. They used to be able to, looking back sort of a bit further, they used to be able to rely on them. They're now overwhelmingly sort of going Labour. And actually that's particularly the case with young female voters, so 18 to 24-year-olds and those under 35, as you were sort of saying, some people they're targeting. I think the Grazia interview was quite an interesting one, just because I think when Rishi Sunak tried it, it actually sort of highlighted the worst of his qualities, which is that he come across as very inauthentic.
Yeah.
And I think the way to tackle that is not to try and pretend to be authentic, because people are clever and people can sniff that out.
This is what I keep saying about the public. I'm quite interested because, let's be perfectly honest, after the sort of Johnson-type era and after sort of somebody like Blair, who everybody sort of bought into, is quite a dynamic person. These two are both bank managers. There's nothing really exciting about him. Just a final question in terms of polling. Does Starmer... I mean, I suspect at the beginning, after all the chaos, it was about Starmer being this steady hand and sort of bank managerly, sort of just doing everything.
Sure.
Because he's not dynamic, I'm not criticising him. Is that a plus or a minus to the people that you're speaking to as a pollster?
I think
do they want a steady hand on the tiller or do they want dynamism?
I think the problem is they kind of want a bit of both. So they're so fed up of the psychodrama of the Conservative Party for the last few years. So they want something steadier and more certain than that. However, they are still not inspired of Keir Starmer. And actually, more importantly, they're not sure what he stands for. And that's the bigger problem. I do think where this is helpful, though, is that one of the things I think he can do is when people see more of him, especially interacting with people, they think, well, OK, we don't really like either of them, but he seems at least more normal than Rishi Sunak, and he seems like he might understand my problems a bit more.
Seriously,
and I think that's what that's good for.
Absolutely fascinating.